this morning at about 6 a.m., or 5 a.m. rather, my wonderful president, Mr. Trump, went on Twitter and referred to the Attorney General Sessions as being beleaguered in regards to these investigations that are currently being conducted and ignored pertaining to inquiries into um, Clinton, this not the president, but the first lady slash senator slash everything else, and also the former Attorney General Lynch. So after this pops out, there is a new story that is released within that same hour. I think it's all happened early this morning, where it states Attorney General Sessions may possibly be on his way out as Trump eyes Rudy Giuliani, former mayor of New York City, to replace him as Attorney General. And Giuliani responded to that uh, several several tens of minutes ago by saying that he was not up for consideration. The story is not true, and that was the end of the Sessions controversy that plagued this morning. So the first thing I want to get right off the just remove completely from right now is the idea that this is a story that should be taken seriously for the sake of having television hosts from MSNBC or CNN, CBS, whichever station, talking about it for days and days. Fact of the matter is, this is a relatively minute detail in the ongoing healthcare debate where millions of people stand ready to lose their coverage altogether if the Affordable Care Act, which I don't even, I'm not even a fan of, is repealed. So I'm just saying it's sad we continue to see this focus by those who I guess are in control of news, at least national news, uh, entirely dedicate their time to this. I can guarantee you, we're going to hear about this tonight on those aforementioned networks, and we're also going to receive more information relating to it, and have more commentators speak about it in the coming days. Um, while the healthcare debate is completely ignored and millions of people lose their coverage. So, that's a grim note for me to start on, but it's kind of interesting because Sessions was one of Trump's earliest mainstream supporters. He was if I remember correctly, the first Republican senator to endorse him during the primary. This is before, if I'm remembering, it was early last year, possibly right after the Iowa caucus or primary, the first in the nation. So Giuliani also, backed him. It's kind of, I guess what I'm trying to convey here is that it's really interesting to see how it's this game of you scratch my back, I scratch your back. And too often do I sit here and read about these stories and go and watch it and try to inquire. And it just, things about people's past in relation to certain topics almost are not in my mind at given points. So, for example, as I'm reading this story, I forget that it hasn't been 2 or 3 years that Sessions has not been in there for some long extraneous or otherwise um, regular amount of time, because attorney generals usually don't last an entire administration. The only example I can think of that think relating to that off the top of my head was Janet Reno um, under President Clinton. So this story, it paves the way for two separate ongoing entities. One being this nonsense with Trump and Twitter. I could say, oh, well, he needs to stop doing that, but you've heard that argument already. You know how I feel about it. It's not new. It's just ridiculous. But what's also ridiculous is that we'll have these anonymous sources that he, was so bothered by, and whether they're true or not, they give validity to what Trump was complaining about. And I'm not saying we need to abolish anonymity when it comes to information, but I could publish a story right now that says every Trump cabinet member will be replaced by next year, according to anonymous source, and it would be only not believed because it's coming from me. But if it were from somewhere such as CBS, CNN, if I were some journalist working there, it would be bought. They would buy it, and that's kind of troubling for any of our actual policies, because what it does, it takes away attention from things that matter. And we go back to that same reality show nonsense that a lot of the members of the not media, but people who oppose Trump were talking about, that they're actively partaking in it, ironically, because they're giving this idea that has nothing to do with his stance on an issue and can actually impact people some attention. And I think that's really just bothersome. We're going to keep sitting here year after year and wasting our time worrying about if this is true, if he really said this, if he's really thinking about doing it. Why don't just let him do it? Just stop giving me a heads up. Just let it happen. We had no heads up about Comey getting fired. That happened. No heads up about Yates getting fired. That happened. Sometimes it's good to just have things occur unexpectedly. Look at LBJ not running for president. No one saw that coming. They were all shocked. Everywhere I read about it, everyone was dumbfounded and amazed. They couldn't believe it. So I am finished. I hope we stop having these stories, but we probably have another 2 or 3 or 4 years worth of it, maybe 7. So thank you for watching and have a good day.